Hello, my name is Brittany D. I am a psychic medium and spiritual teacher. My divine purpose is to assist in the expansion of the collective consciousness and to help you become more connected with the divine. This is a space to remember all that you truly are and ignite the possibilities of your highest potential. Hello, and thank you for being present here with me in this now moment. Oh, it's so juicy, isn't it? It just takes just a second. It's so juicy. Oh my goodness. Okay. So today I'm going to tell you guys my journey, my ayahuasca journey. This podcast has been requested. I can't even count on my toes, hands and toes, how many times I have been asked if I will tell my story about going to see Momma Aya. And I think it's time. So here we are. Okay, so, oh gosh, I don't even remember how old I was. Oh, I was in my 20s. I'm in my 20s now, but I'm going to be 28 soon. And I think I was closer to 23, maybe 24, something like that. Maybe 22. I wish I had a number for you all, but I don't. Years ago, that's what we'll say. Years ago, at the time, I was living at a farm in Indiana. I had a little homestead on 40 acres, and it was a self-sustainable house, wood fire stove, water cistern, solar panels, garden, chickens, the gig. And my partner, who I was with at the time, was doing service work for Kindred. And so she was gone Monday through Friday. She would fly out on Monday mornings and then fly home on Friday nights and then spend the weekend home and then do the same thing next week. And so whenever I always go out of the country or I go on a retreat, I go on some kind of vacation, I go on some kind of experience every year for my birthday. And so for that year, she was already super busy with this job where she was flying in and out, and I was working from home on this beautiful 40-acre property. And so she was like, do you mind, since it's your birthday thing, like, I'll just totally trust, like, you pick the place, you plan it, I'll just send you money for the flights or whatever. You do the whole thing. And I'll just roll with you for your birthday. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's perfect. And so whenever I checked in with myself, where I really wanted to go, and this was way before, or actually I would say it was a year before my Kundalini awakening. Actually like right at about exactly a year before my Kundalini awakening. And so I wasn't super connected with my intuition at this point. I would say connected, but I wouldn't say super connected, not anywhere on the level where I'm at now. And so just checking in with myself, it was very like boom, boom, like the Amazon was like so clear to me. Like, I want to go to the Amazon forest. Like, I need to see the Amazon forest, which is really interesting because years later, the Amazon forest was like literally being burned down by the fucking acre, like massively. And I was like, holy shit, this is why you wanted to go see it before this happened. Because like a huge part of it is now lost. It's like totally different now. But anyways, so I wanted to go to the Amazon. I had just started, like I'm talking 2 or 3 months, started getting into yoga, like maybe doing 10 minutes a morning. And so I started looking when I was looking at the Amazon and the Amazon River and the Amazon forest. I found this place called Iquitos. And a lot of people, whenever they go to Peru, they go to Machu Picchu, something like that. But the reason why I loved Iquitos was because they, and also just a heads up, guys, usually I try and keep my individual podcasts to like 15, 20 minutes. There's no way this is going to be 15, 20 minutes. So just a heads up. The reason why I loved Iquitos so much was because you can only get there by boat or by plane. And so I knew, I was like, these people have to work together. If they can only get their supplies by boat or by plane, you can't go drive somewhere and go get all of your supplies for your store or your business, then these businesses are working together. They're getting bulk orders together. The communities are, if you run out of something, they're helping one another. Neighbors are helping. Like, there's no way that you're not working together and in a community mindset whenever you're in the middle of the jungle and the only way to get your supplies is by boat or by plane. And so I knew that community feel was really what I wanted to be in, and I wanted to experience what life was like that. And so, I started researching yoga retreats, because I just started getting into yoga. I love retreats, and usually I go to Buddhist retreats, at that time. And so I wanted to try something different. And so I was looking at all these different yoga retreats, right? And then, I'm just like researching, you know how Google is. And at this one yoga retreat, it had the drop down option when I was looking at the pricing for ceremony. And I was like, ceremony? And then I was like, why the fuck is this ceremony so expensive? I was like, what? And so then I started looking into it deeper. And then I saw the word ayahuasca. And at first I was so unfamiliar with ayahuasca that I was like, is that word? Like, I was like looking at it and I was like, ayahuasca. I think that's that thing. Like, I didn't know what it was at all, but I was like, I'm pretty sure that's that thing that I've heard of. And then whenever I saw, like an ad San Pedro and add this or whatever, I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely ayahuasca. And so then I called my partner and I was like, dude, there's freaking ayahuasca there. Like, we can do ayahuasca. Do you want to do ayahuasca? And she was like, hell yeah. Like, I'm totally down. And I knew, like, okay, this was not a coincidence. Like, this was a series of events that led me here. And I knew that this was not a coincidence and that it was time for me to do ayahuasca. And so, whenever I was researching, all of these retreats that had ayahuasca ceremonies were so expensive. And then I found this place on Facebook that was like kind of like undergroundish, and they did have a place for you to stay and everything, but it was like way cheaper. And, it was just really interesting. And so anyways, I booked that because it was way more inexpensive and you got basically the same things. I mean, you didn't have like a chef cooking for you and like shit like that, and it was bunk beds. Like, you didn't have your own private, like, it was like the kind of like backpacker style one. And I was like, I'm totally down with that. And so, we book our place through Facebook. You just had to pay like a deposit or something. It was something really small though. I remember, like, it was like a $75 deposit or something really simple. And so then, we get ready and I'm so excited, and we go and we land in Peru, and it's so fucking cool. You're like on these like bicycle car things. And so we get taken to the place to meet the guy that's giving us the key to the house. And whenever we walk in, I just remembered his name was Alan, which is too funny because I had another really bad experience with an Alan. Wow, that's so wild. His name was Alan. And so we walk into his place, and the vibe was just a little weird. Like, we were like, this is like not exactly what we were picturing, but okay, we did like the whole discounted thing. And then he says that he needs the money. So one of the things that I really loved about this place is that you paid, like all the other resorts and stuff, you paid and then the shaman just came. With this place, you pay the shaman directly. And I really liked the idea, at least at that time, I really liked the idea of being able to give him my exchange or give her my exchange directly, like from me. But then when we got to Alan to get the key, he was like, oh, I need you to go ahead and pay for the shaman too. Like, we were paying for the place to stay. supposedly how it was set up is Alan manages the place to stay, and then the shaman, they like teamed up or whatever, and then you just pay the shaman directly and he just comes in. And so we were expecting to pay the place to stay, and then he was like, oh no, the shaman said to go ahead and have you pay. And I kind of like, me and like Lace were looking at each other and we're like, kind of like, that's not what our agreements were. And so I told him that I would pay him half of it. And I thought that was like a fair way to meet him. And that was for the first ceremony. There was supposed to be, there were supposed to be 2 or 3 ceremonies, something like that. And so I paid for like part of them. And so then, we go to the house and all of the beds are like not even beds. Like they are mattresses, but they're so worn in that they're like slummed down. They did tell us to bring sleeping bags, but there was like not even a pillow, nothing for you to use. There was no water and I don't know if you know this, but in Peru, you cannot drink the water. Like you have to get bottled water. And they said that there was a filtration system there. It was empty. We contacted him. He said that he was going to have the shaman bring us a new thing of water if we could because it is the house from where he was, the house was all the way out in the jungle. So it was quite a drive just to bring us water. But he said to just walk up the street. There was a store and buy water until tomorrow. And when the shaman comes, he was going to send him in with like those big, jugs of water. And so anyways, so it's already kind of a weird vibe. I mean, it was totally fine. Lacey and I are, we have a wonderful life. So we're like, we're having a great time regardless. Like we're in the middle of the fucking Amazon jungle. You know what I'm saying? In this little cabode all to ourselves. Like we're still having a great time, but there was all these little things of like, that's kind of odd. That's kind of odd. Like that wasn't our agreement. That wasn't our agreement. Like, why don't you have this prepared? Kind of a thing. And then the night that the shaman was supposed to come, he did not come, and I had a picture of the shaman that we were working with, and I did a little research on him, and he sent some other random dude with some girl or some lady, and they could not speak hardly any English. All he kept repeating was, I'm your shaman, and I'm like, no, you're not. And so then we contact Alan, and he contacts the shaman, and then Alan reaches back and he's like, oh, he had a family emergency come up. So he sent someone else. And I was like, oh, hell the fuck no. Like, this is not how I'm doing this. And I mean, maybe if I would have been more in the flow at that time in my life, maybe it would have been great. But at that time I was like, there are red flags everywhere. I'm good. No, thank you. And so we had to pay the shaman guy that showed up. I guess he was a shaman, to get a bus home. He said he didn't have any money. He was expecting to make money that night and he didn't have any money. We had to pay for his bus home. It was just a really weird situation. And so we're laying in bed that night, and I'm so upset because I knew that Aya had called me there. Like, I knew Lacey was like in her own world, like working for Kindred and on like the hustle. And I was like on the farm in my peaceful little like cabode. And I had all these crazy signs and synchronicities and things happening when I really wasn't super tapped in. And so to me, it was like, no, like I know this in my being. Like, this has been a very unusual experience for me. The universe has been playing a really big part in this. But for her, it wasn't really like, she wasn't super attached to the idea. It wasn't really, I mean, she was there with me, but it wasn't really like her calling, is a simple way of saying it. And so we're laying in bed and she's like, nah, let's just leave in the morning. I'm like researching other places and resorts. And of course, everywhere's so fucking expensive. And we already spent, money on this place that we knew they were not going to refund us if we left. And so anyways, she's like, basically like, babe, let's just give up on it. Like, let's just go back to Iquitos, have a great time, like do our thing. Like we had been traveling for 5 years at that point, almost 5 years, 4.5 years at that point. So it was like, we know how to do this. Like we're not like desperate for these people to like satisfy us. But I was like, no, I know that there's something happening here. I don't know what's happening, but there's something happening. And so it kind of, the next morning, because I was so determined, the next morning, it a little bit turned into an argument. Not like a real, like no one yelling at each other or anything, but just like, I was like, I need to go for a fucking walk. And so I start to go for a walk, and then she got concerned, validly, that I was walking in an unknown country by myself where there's like, we have no phone because there's no Wi-Fi. You know, she's like, okay, I won't talk to you, but like, I'm going to follow behind you like 10 feet because I'm not comfortable with you just like walking down this in the jungle by yourself, like down this like random back road. And so I was like, fine, you know? And so anyways, we just end up walking, and just being in the jungle was really helpful and really healing. You know how Mother Nature is. And so it got to the point where we were like, okay, let's just go for a walk and have fun and explore and, you know, just go wherever. But I was definitely on the lead because I kind of took that lead move of being like, I'm going on a walk. And so there was this left turn that like we were walking down this one like road, you know, not a real road, a jungle road. and then there was like a road that went to the left, but like into God knows where, like you have no idea where that goes. There was a bunch of houses on the left, but it was all just open jungle on the right. And I don't know why, but I was just like, I don't know. I just want to go this way. And so we were like, okay, well, we can make one turn. Like we'll know our way back. All we have to do is make one right back. But if we keep, Lacey was like, if we keep making turns, we could get lost. Like we can't do that. I was like, okay, just this one turn. And so we walk and we walk and we walk, and we're in the jungle. And then we come upon this entrance, and across the top is this big arch, and it says Caya Shobo. And I'm like, what's Caya Shobo? And so I walk through the entrance, and Lacey's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I just feel drawn here. Like, I want to know what Caya Shobo is. And we walk through, and I actually started to like open the gate. And then one of the people that works there starts walking up to me, and he's like, can I help you? And I was like, what's Caya Shobo? And he was like, we're a retreat center. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, do you mind if I walk around? And he was like, I can show you around if you want. And he was so freaking kind. Julian, oh my God, bless that man. So freaking kind. And he's showing us around, and there's like, oh my God, guys, I can't even put into words. Please go Google Caya Shobo, okay? Because it is such a magical place. It's so magical. And it has like, when you enter, you look over and there's all these tropical plants. I mean, they've done so much work to the land. And then there's these big ponds that you can go swimming in. And then this little bridge and this big maloca, and then all these little cabins. Oh my God, it's so gorgeous. You could just feel how much these people have nurtured this land and taken care of this land and really put an intention and connection. And so then, you know, we were telling him, he's like, you know, why are you guys walking around? You know, he's like, what's going on here? And we tell him our experience, and he's like, oh, ladies, I'm so sorry. Like, we hear about this stuff all the time, you know, afterwards, like later on down the road, I heard multiple stories about shamans that like taking girls into like little cabins in the woods, like by themselves, and then like locked them in the cabin. Like there's crazy shit that happens. So be very careful. I hope that this story is helpful for you to be very careful, about who you select to receive your medicine from. And trust the universe always, right? Trust your intuition. And so, and he's like, yeah, I've heard stories like this. And he was like, well, it sounds like you guys are probably hungry. So let's go ahead. They're going to have lunch in like whatever, 15 minutes or whatever. So let's go ahead and have lunch, and let's talk about maybe you guys coming here. And I didn't even know that they had available space, right? And so Lacey and I look at each other. We're like, what? You want to feed us and we can come here? Like, oh my God. I think I might have cried in that moment. I think I probably cried. I can't remember the exact details, but I'm pretty sure I cried. And So then we go to like the like little, it's this really big maloka, and it's like a little lunch hall kind of a thing. And oh my, it was just, I can't even put into words how incredibly amazing it was, and just beautifully decorated, and everything was just fucking top notch. And they feed us this beautiful meal, and we're like, and so, but then they tell us how much it is to stay there. And we're like, oh fuck, like we were like, we just spent like over $800 on something that we're not even going to use. Like we're kind of not in a position to spend thousands of dollars. And so then he says, okay, well, when would you leave? And then we said we wanted to do a 1-week retreat with 3 ceremonies, or 4 ceremonies. That's what it was. And he was like, he like checked in with his little schedule thing, and they didn't have anyone coming in. And so he was like, okay. And he gave us the most incredibly kind and compassionate offer for us to stay there, be housed, have our own fucking room. We each had our own bed, our whole own bathroom. The entire land was so incredibly beautiful. We got fed. There was community there and other people to talk about your experiences with. Oh my God, Caya Shobo, I love it so much. I can't wait to go back. But then we end up, of course, we go back and we get all of our shit, and we're like, deuces, y'all, like we found where we're supposed to be. And so we walk back, we get all of our stuff, and then we go to Caya Shobo. And so then whenever, we meet the shaman and we have ceremony, I find out that this shaman is one of the most well-known shamans in Peru. There's literally a movie about him on Netflix. Okay? I am like, at this point, I'm like, holy shit. Like, how did I get so and I truly believe that, like, if I didn't trust my intuition in that moment, if I just like would have let this random medicine man like serve me, and like I don't know, I knew like that I deserved better, and that I wanted better, and that I could be provided that, and that I could find it. And what was presented was like so above what I could have ever met. He's like literally, so many retreats in Peru want him at his retreat center because everything sells out, because everyone wants this specific guy. Arturo is his name, I believe. I think I'm saying that correctly. And I can't remember the name of the movie that's on Netflix right now, or else I would share it with you all. Akuro. I think that's the name of the movie. That's not his name. His name's not Arturo. It's Akuro is the name on Netflix of the movie. I don't remember the shaman's name right now, but like literally one of like the top shamans in the entire country of Peru, one of the most beautiful retreat centers I could ever have asked to be at. And we got it for a freaking deal because we just walked up. Like, they knew we were meant to be there. We knew we were meant to be there. So they were like, okay, we're going to meet you where you're at. Like, we're going to figure this out. And like the actual journey, I can't share too much of my actual journey because I don't know if you've ever heard this, but whenever you retell your experience with Aya, it actually takes away from the medicine. So the medicine of Aya lasts for years and years. Like, I'm still gaining wisdom and lessons from that one 7-day retreat that I went to, that one time period that she called me and I met her. And they even said, like, whenever we checked in and everything, we had to like fill out these forms, and they're like, what do you want? Because some people go there like that have cancer and like specific things. And I literally wrote on my form, I'm like, she called me here. I don't know what I'm supposed to be getting, but she called me here. So, it takes away, somebody had told me that whenever I was in Peru, but I didn't believe them. And then whenever I came home, I was like telling all of my friends about it. And little by little, I felt the energy like going away. It was like going distant away from, and I was like trying to grab it back. I'm like, no, Aya, come back. Please, don't go away. Every time I told a story, she got a little bit more distant from me every single time. But I do feel comfortable telling one part of the story because it was such an incredibly profound moment. And I hope to share this with you as a teacher. I feel like that's appropriate with the intention for you to really trust when Aya calls you to go to her. And believe me, I will say this so clearly, believe me, you do not have to figure it out. You do not, whenever she wants you, everything in the universe will organize itself for you to be there. You do not have to even go looking for her. You don't have to, it'll just stumble exactly like I'm describing. It'll just stumble along. And all of a sudden, this is how, whoa, okay, I guess we're going to an ayahuasca. I guess we're doing that. I guess we're going to be here instead of there. And like, it just stumbles along if you're in the flow. And she has so much power. God, she's so powerful. She has so much power. You do not need to force anything. She has the reins. But I was so proud of myself, and I really want to share just this one piece. So this was my last. We did 4 ceremonies, and it was my last ceremony, and Aya was over top of me. She was like just right over top of me, and she went into my heart. And literally ripped my chest open. Like I thought that my heart was literally being pulled. It physically feels like it. Like for a second, I opened my eyes and looked down at my chest just to make sure that my chest wasn't actually being cracked open, but she literally cracked open my heart, pulled it in half in 2, like imagine your fingers going into the chest and then like opening it up and pulling it one side and the other. And then she poured her love into my heart. Literally just poured her love into my heart. Like so much. And then she took her hand and she wiped it all clean. Like literally, it was like someone put a wet wipe over my chest and like wiped it, like wiped, cleaned, literally with her love and her hand, cleaned my heart out, and then put one hand on each side and sealed my heart back up. And I laid there and I bawled. And I bawled my eyes out, okay? And then whenever I came out of it and I was done, I looked up and the shaman, who has his own mat and is in the middle of the room, or in the middle of everyone, you sit on the sides of him, is at the bottom of my bed. And he looks me in the eyes and he says, "Good work." I was like, how the fuck did you know what just happened? Like, what? And this man did not speak English. Like, he does not speak English. Like, I did not hear him speak a single word of English until that moment. I was like, what? He looked at me and like, I did not see, I'm sure he had all kinds of interactions with everyone, but I did not see that for anyone else that night. Like, it was like him and I were like in this together for real. And so I want to explain to you how the shaman goes on the journey with you. It doesn't matter how many people are in that maloka. He is on your journey with you, or she is on your journey with you. The shaman is on the journey with you, knows exactly what it is, the conduit in between. And now in the work that I do, I'm like, okay, that all makes sense. But at the time, I'm like, how the fuck did you like know all of that? Okay. I want to give you an example. So that this was the same, this was a different night, but so whenever Aya is done with you, whenever she's done with you in ceremony, she acknowledges to you and lets you know, and then you just get up and walk out. Like, everyone's done at different times. Sometimes it takes fucking hours and hours and hours. Sometimes it takes 1 hour. Sometimes it takes, I've never seen anybody in a matter of minutes, but sometimes it takes a shorter period of time. Sometimes it takes all fucking night long, to do walk through whatever healing you're meant to walk through. Oh my God, just talking about this, I'm like, oh my God, I need to go back. She's so healing. Oh my God, it's amazing. Oh, so, but and the first ceremony, I was so scared because I was in a foreign country and I was like on, something, an intoxication, and I was like just so scared for the whole first ceremony. But I knew, like, I felt pulled whenever I needed to get up and go back to my cabin. But then the second night, the second ceremony, I tried to leave to go back to my cabin before she was done with me. And I walked across the Maloka and I walked out the door and I went to go put my shoes on, and I literally was like wobbling, like I couldn't walk, not like drunk, but like stopping me from walking normally. Like, I was walking normally out of the Maloka. And then as soon as I went to go put my shoes on to like actually leave, I was like, oh my God, I need a railing. Like, I need to sit down. Like, I'm topsy-turvy right now. And I turned around and I walked back into the Maloka. I was like, okay, she's not done. Okay, we're not done here. So she will let you know whenever she's done with you. You will know without a doubt. You'll feel sober as a bird. You'll go from like in a whole nother state of consciousness that you've never experienced before in your life to sober as a bird. Like, completely back to normal. Like, it's so wild. I could go on for literally an hour, but I'm really going to try and keep this short. Okay. So the shaman going on the journey with you. So this was the third ceremony and I was already done. I was back in my cabin. Lace was actually already done too, and back, in our room, and we were hanging out and just talking about our experience. And then, we hear there was a bunch of other people at the retreat with us, but we hear this one girl specifically, and she is going through it. Like, she is screaming and she is crying. And I mean, the purging was just like massive. And you literally hear her scream and cry and purge. And then she like calms down. And then you hear the shaman get up from his bed and walk outside and walk to the grass and then puke and then walk back into the Maloka and go take a seat. She screams and cries, purges, all this shit coming up. He gets up, goes out, you hear him barf, and then he goes back. Like, literally, he is physically on the journey with you. Like, if you're purging emotionally, then he's going to puke it out for you. It's fucking crazy. Like, it's literally wild how extremely connected, like, talk about conduit. He's like not even, it's like he was, there's not even words. I'm trying to word and there's no words for it because it's absolutely unreal, amazing and magical and out of this world. And, so the shaman, a really good shaman, I should say, if you have a top-notch shaman, which how did I get blessed with such a fucking top-notch shaman? If you want a top-notch shaman, go to Caya Shobo. But they will be on the journey with you. They will know exactly what Aya is working with you on, where you're at in that, how much longer you have. They will know everything. She is telling them everything along the way as your space holder. So it's just a conduit in between the two of you. But they know everything for every single person in that Maloka. It's pretty wild. So anyways, overall, sorry, I'm really trying to keep this short. Overall, it was one of the most incredible things I've ever done for myself. I was there at Caya Shobo. I was there for 7 days. we did 4 ceremonies, and then we left and went back to Iquitos and spent another 3 weeks, I think, in Iquitos. We were there for almost a month. And yeah, it was, I don't even know. There's no words for how incredible ayahuasca is, and like what a mother figure she is to all of us at all times. Like at any time, whether you've done ayahuasca or not, she's present with you and helping you heal. And it's just so ancient. It's such an ancient magic, and you can feel it in it. And yeah, we did like these flower baths, and they had a medicine man there to do all of the, you know, because Aya makes you puke. So like you have to clear out your stomach, and it's just, we couldn't have been in a better place. And that all goes to spirit. Like literally that all goes to spirit. And I learned so much about myself, and still am receiving wisdom, even just, you know, speaking this out into this platform right now. It's like my heart is so full. Like she's just serves so profoundly and so massively and on such a vast scale. The spirit of ayahuasca is undescribable, and I couldn't recommend it to you more. But I really recommend it being a very sacred experience. I know that there's some retreats in the United States and whatnot, and I'm sure that those are, I'm sure they're fantastic. But I would definitely recommend going to the native land, and doing it with the people who were raised in this. I really highly recommend that. But thank you guys for just like hearing and seeing me. And I hope that you enjoyed. I'm sorry if you were thinking that I was going to tell more about my actual experience while I was working with her, but I learned very quickly that that's something for her and I. It's something for her and I, and to work on and continue to work on. And I just honor her so deeply, and everything that she does for us. But I think that's it for this week, guys. I really hope that this was enjoyable for you. It was a very well requested episode, and thank you for being present with me through witnessing me. And I also wanted to let you know that I just announced my membership. It's called Teaching Through Telling, and it is a storytelling space. And so what it is a bunch of stories, day-to-day life, big stories, old stories, small stories, short stories, long stories, all stories of teachings. This story was more about me sharing my experience, where the stories in Teaching Through Telling are a little bit, they're more about, this is what I gained from this. This is how I handle things, to encourage you to have a perspective of how to navigate things for yourself. So if you are interested in that at all, I'm going to drop the link below for that. But it's a new membership, and I'm really, really so excited about it. I'm so excited for all the signups that we've had already, all within 24 hours. It's just been unreal. So that's it for this week. I love you all, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed that episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and if this was impactful for you at all, please share it with others. This is how we can help each other. Much love and namaste.